Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started in just a minute, but I'd love to just see and hear who is here. If you would go ahead and type in the chat. I want to make sure that that chat is working for us. Make sure that as you type into the chat, you select to everyone. It'll automatically start off just saying hosts and panelists. Tell us what you're doing to stay cool in this hot weather that is approaching us. It sounds like it's going to be pretty toasty the next few days. So feel free to share in the chat. What are you doing to stay cool and enjoy this weather and also avoid the heat? Staying inside. Ooh, Ryan, that sounds fun. I was at the lake last weekend. Lots of AC and fans. I love that. Okay, your chat will not let me make sure that everyone can, let's see real quick. Okay, go ahead and try that. This is why we test. Emily, can you now type to everyone? So make sure you're changing it to everyone. You should be able to select that now. So I'll read some of the ones that came through if you didn't get to see those. So healthy smoothies, that sounds refreshing. I see some swimming, some lake time. All good stuff. Okay, planning to go swimming. Wonderful. Been dealing with it most of my life. So Joe, you're used to it. You can give us some tips and tricks. And then I did see a Q&A question already. So before we get started, I'll just answer this question for Emily. She is a newly certified SHRM CP holder. So congratulations, Emily. That's very exciting. We will be providing a code at the end of this session, and you will actually be able to enter that to get certification. So you'll want to manually go in and enter that. And make sure you get that code. We'll be emailing it just a few days after this session. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started and just share a little bit about our exciting program today. We are very excited to have our ATD partners from the Nashville Chapter joining us today. We are going to be talking about driving cultural transformation with employee learning and development. One of my favorite topics. If I could do this, I was just sharing with our panelists all day, every day, I would live in the world of learning and development. Just so much fun and exciting things going on in that space right now. So we're going to hear a little bit about that from our partners here. This style today is a little bit different. If you've been with us in person, we've tried this out a few times, and it is very, very fun, I think, and engaging, and really allows you to be able to get a taste of what our experts have to share with you. So it is really a short presentation. Each of our panelists will be able to share with you a little bit about their own expertise, their take on this topic, and then they will pass it off to the next panelist, and that person will get to share. So each of them will have approximately 10 minutes to share their expertise with you, and then we're going to open up the floor to a panel discussion. So at that opportunity, you have the chance to type into the Q&A, as we've seen Emily already do that, and then as well as you've been doing now, type into the chat. You can type your questions in either place, and we will capture those questions and we will share them with our panelists so that they can answer all the questions you have about really driving cultural transformation with learning and development. So with that, just a few other housekeeping things. I actually already got a chance to share this. So we will be sending the CE credit information via email a few days after this webinar. We also, at the end of this session, prior to us departing and going our separate ways for the rest of the week, we're going to ask you to answer a brief survey that's going to have just very few questions that probably take about 1 to 2 minutes for you to complete. But that really just helps us understand, are we giving you as members what you are asking for? And what else can we share with you? What other topics are you interested in? If you have any speakers that you would love to hear from, we just want to ask you those questions so we understand what you need and make sure we can meet that. And I did not, because I jumped right into answering questions, introduce myself. I am Rochelle Garlow. I am the program director for MT SHRM. And then I also, as my side gig, but also my full-time job, I am the senior manager of talent management at Bayada Home Healthcare based in New Jersey. But luckily, I get to be here in Nashville with all of you. So very excited to be here today. So to actually kick us off now, that's all the announcements that I had. I am going to start us off by just introducing you here to Josh Jeffries. He will be kicking off this session just to share a little about his take on learning and development and culture. So Josh, would you like to join us?
Yeah, absolutely. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screens and we'll get this party started. Got to take a quick look at the participant list, and I saw a few good friends. So thank you for joining and lending your support. So let's go ahead and start. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Josh Jeffries. I'd just like to thank you guys for inviting us to your chapter meeting on learning and development. You may recognize me from past SHRM events, as I'm also a member of MT SHRM. A little bit more about me. I've spent my early years in Northern Iowa, but I've been in Nashville for the last 25 years. I've been in learning and development for 27 years. Doesn't feel that long. I'm one of those rare learning professionals that was lucky enough to fall into the profession early. I trained my first corporate level event at 19 and fell in love with the craft, switched majors. And my obsession took me to earning both my SCP and my ATD equivalent, which is the CPTD, as part of my learning journey. And I've worn nearly every hat in L&D, even worn a few in formal human resources. So for the last 6 years, I've been working at Pinnacle Financial Partners as a learning and development advisor responsible for the firm's online regulatory training program. That's just a fancy way of saying I'm the ultra popular guy that manages Pinnacle's compliance training. So while I'm responsible for overseeing training design, the development and implementation of all things regulatory, I'm mostly known as the guy that hassles everyone to get their training done by the deadline. And I'm also a member of Pinnacle's local Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council. And as a learning advisor, I also partner closely with other DE&I councils across the firm on their learning initiatives. My primary extracurricular outside of my day job is serving on the board of Middle Tennessee's chapter of the Association of Talent Development. Last year, I was VP of Finance. This year, I'm serving as president-elect. And as the president-elect, for all intents and purposes, I am the president in waiting or president in training. My primary responsibility is to help lead the chapter and assist my fellow board mates with chapter initiatives. Just a shameless plug, if you haven't attended one of our events in Middle Tennessee, we'd love to have you. It's not required that you're a learning professional. We have members all across the boards, from accountants, HR, executive coaches, organizational development professionals, students, leaders of people that just want to learn more on how to better develop their people. In short, if you have a passion for developing others, we are your tribe and we'd love to get to know you. Outside of all of that, when I'm not working either at Pinnacle or at ATD, I can be found volunteering with other organizations. I am what's known as a serial volunteer. Some of the places I've formally partnered with is Unsilenced. It's an organization that fights institutional child abuse, Junior Achievement in Middle Tennessee, and the American Association of State and Local History. I also love to read. I love all things pop culture. I love sports, and I love working out. So let's go ahead and jump into Pinnacle. Since today's topic is about culture, I want to start with my employer. And I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with us. So just to kind of give some background, we're a bank that got its start in Nashville 24 years ago. The company's founders started the organization as they felt strongly that we could build a better bank that's known for taking care of both its associates and its clients. Our vision is to be the best place to work and the best financial services firm in the Southeast, and we're well on our way of achieving that vision. Currently, we're #1 in Nashville for market share and #2 in the state of Tennessee, as well as climbing quickly in our other markets across the Southeast. From culture perspective, to give an idea of of how Pinnacle operates, and Pinnacle being known as a highly engaged culture bank. We've had some people-centric awards that apply to culture. The most prestigious one we've won this year is we're currently number 11 on the 100 best companies to work for in the United States. That was listed by Fortune and Great Place to Work. And just to clarify, that's not the 11th best bank. That's the 11th best place to work, period. In addition to that, we've pulled in 30 national and regional Greenwich Excellence and Greenwich Best Practice Awards. For those of you that are not familiar, those are kind of like Oscars, but for banking. We were on last year, number 14 in People Magazine as listed as companies that care. And we have won several awards with diversity, equity, inclusion, outstanding leadership from the American Bankers Association. That was last year in 2023. To break down some of those statistics or these numbers, we were also listed as the 6 best workplaces for women and 26th best workplace for millennials. One fun fact about Pinnacle is you may see that we don't win the best place to work in Nashville. The reason is because we're not allowed to anymore. We won it for 10 years in a row, so we were officially retired. I say all that to kind of share our story about how culture plays a part in everything that we do at our organization. So the secret to our success and the people is our people, and continue to make the culture the driving force behind everything that we do. I talked about kind of the vision of our founders, and it was kind of like the Field of Dreams. Their idea is if you build it, they will come, and that's pretty much our story. They started grassroots. We currently have 3,400 associates, and we have a 94% retention rate, which is pretty impressive. We get a lot of questions on how that happens and how are we able to retain 94%. Really, it's simple. We look at culture as our competitive advantage and the lifeblood of having a successful financial institution. Furthermore, with us being a bank, it is very important that we take care of our clients and serve the communities in which we do business. Some additional statistics to kind of goes into that 94% retention rate. In our last internal engagement survey, 88% of associates said that there is a sense that we're all on the same team. 92% said Pinnacle's policies and practices ensure fair treatment for everyone. And 96% of associates say Pinnacle's culture is special and something you won't find anywhere else. Our annual external survey that was hosted by Great Place to Work echoed a lot of those numbers in the internal survey. 98% believes that they're treated fairly regardless of their race, gender, or sexual orientation. 94% believe they're paid fairly. 91% believe promotions go to those who best deserve them. So as you can see by those numbers, we're successfully building a workplace culture where increasingly diverse associates feel a strong sense of belonging. So that's kind of the first bullet point. Second bullet point, and I'm asked about this a lot in the community, and I'm asked if the rumor's true, and it is. We do not have recruiters or a marketing department. It is a fact. There is not one person in this firm that's dedicated to either one of those functions. The way what we do is we attract top talent, and we attract our clients with the culture that we bring. Our hiring philosophy is pretty simple as well. We hire experienced professionals that have two primary things. One, which is the most important, we hire people that have the heart to serve and the heart to be on a team and to work together as a team. Second of which is being an expert in their chosen profession. In short, high performers want to join Pinnacle for the culture, and we all stay because of how well we are taken care of, and we all believe in the mission of taking care of our clients as well. Marketing, which is also startling, as we all know, and we are inundated with commercials, not only on TV, but now on our streaming platforms, radio, spam mail, and everything like that. We simply don't believe in marketing. We don't believe in swag. We don't believe in heavy advertising campaigns. Our clients find us through word of mouth and through our work in the community. Frankly, we'd rather spend our marketing budget on meaningful people interactions. We often have guest speakers, client and associate education events, standard education events. For those of you that have been to Titans games, you may have seen us out there tailgating and may even enjoyed a meal or two on us. Maybe even caught something, one of our prizes or one of the Titans prizes. So in addition to company-sponsored events, all of the associates here are empowered to wow our clients. It's not something you have to get heavy permission for, but we really focus on meaningful interactions. Some of our offices have surprised clients with baby showers, mini graduation parties, or even their favorite treats. There's a lot of transplants in Nashville. It goes a long way if you can get a special treat from somewhere where a person's from and surprise them with it. So instead of like the branded swag that you see a lot of places, we prefer to have kind of the power of moments and building special bonds with our clients that way. We had a construction company working on our building that was a client of ours, and I showed up extra early and served them breakfast before I went in and started my own shift. And it was just something to show them that we appreciated them. It was hot outside. We knew the work they were doing was hard, but we wanted to let them know that they're our clients and we appreciate them. So part of the way we maintain that strong culture, if I jump to the next bullet, is that we have our own functions specifically dedicated to associate and client engagement. And by keeping all the people functions under one leader, we're able to partner closer and pull all in the same direction. Associate and client engagement is the heartbeat of our culture, and it's covers everything that we do. In addition, associates fall under associate and client engagement. We have a volunteer workforce of 14 local diversity and equity inclusion councils where nearly 200 associates of all backgrounds work together to engage every associate in an inclusive mindset. Last year alone, those councils put on 130 engagement events and learning events. 180 connection lunches where associates of different backgrounds share a meal and have conversations on the company's dime. It's a way to break down silos. Learning is a core value, so that's really kind of transitions into learning and development at Pinnacle. And I'm looking at the clock, so I'm going to try to wrap this a little quicker. So with what I mentioned earlier, Pinnacle's L&D is no different. Pinnacle hires experienced professionals that are well-versed in their profession. They have a passion to serve, and they excel at a specific discipline. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a learning and development advisor. If you look at our verticals, you'll see that there are a lot of advisors, both on the HR side and on the L&D side, because Pinnacle doesn't believe in titles. We feel that they sometimes get in the way of good work being done, and we all believe that we're equals and working on an equal playing field. So you're either an advisor or a manager/director. And for the most part, the differentiation between the titles is whether you have directs or not, but we're all doing literally the same work across the firm. Learning advisors at Pinnacle, think of us as learning and culture focused HRBPs. We're seated within learning and development, but we're also partnering with the business to provide distinctive service and effective advice for assigned areas. We work as people and learning experts and really advise them on change management, learning, support, how to messaging. We do a lot of that as well. All of us are multifunctional, so our day varies depending on each person's area of expertise. Those that are working in advisory roles specific to new employee training see the classroom more than those of us that are in continuing ed. For me, I do a lot of time consulting, managing the regulatory program, and doing instructional design to keep our courses current. In each role, in short, there's a high level of collaboration with business leaders and other support groups to ensure a strategic alignment. I was asked to talk about engaging learners, so I gave 3 things that I thought were important. So what we do at Pinnacle to engage learners is we start with why and tie it to the values. We always start with, why are we having this training? Why is it important to the firm and our clients? What will it do to help us in our current roles? We're all adults and established professionals, so we often speak with respect, brevity, and candor. We kind of cut out some of the fluff because we want to speak plainly to one another. When designing training, kind of to talk about that, I like to think like a chef. And one of the things I was talking to Rochelle about earlier is designing training like a chef. I mean, growing up, I hated Brussels sprouts in the Midwest. And I don't know if other children of the 80s encountered this. Brussels sprouts were boiled back in the day. I absolutely hated Brussels sprouts. I didn't like Brussels sprouts until I moved to Nashville as an adult and had them at Etch when it first opened. If you've had the Brussels sprouts, they're pretty common across Nashville now, but back then, I mean, it was a rarity, but they were well seasoned, presented nice, they were grilled instead of boiled. The reason I tell you that is because you can do the same with learning. Me being the regulatory guy, literally my program is the Brussels sprouts of training. Nobody likes to take the regulatory training. I write regulatory training. I don't like to take regulatory training. So what's wonderful about that is that most people already dislike your training, so you have nowhere to go but up. So in my time in this role, my mission is to take associates that loathe regulatory training and turn them into raving fans. And I'm slowly but surely doing that. Some of the things I've done to make our regulatory training more engaging is I will use my animated likeness. I'll jump on in cartoon form and talk plainly about the law as opposed to reading this really stuffy paragraph with big words. I'll just speak plainly. Here's what the law says. Here's what the law does. Here's what our responsibility is as associates at Pinnacle. I often hide Easter eggs in my courses. If you see an Easter egg and click it, you will probably get the worst dad joke in the world. Usually themed towards whatever holidays close by or something going on in the firm. In some cases, some of my raving fans will contribute their own dad jokes. I'll just ask them to, basically use their camera phone, do a dad joke, send it to me, and I will hide it somewhere in the next training. Really, in short, we try to make training as fun and engaging as possible without losing the primary message. The general rule I have is if I don't enjoy the course, then I don't expect you to either. So we really do make a concerted effort to make the courses enjoyable, packed with knowledge. And so not only do you feel good, but you know exactly what you need to do your jobs. Talent development, we have new associate orientation. Believe it or not, it's led by our CEO. That is also not something that's just a rumor. That's fact. Our CEO does take and leads those personally. He speaks specifically to our values. The final day culminates in a field day and ends with the wall. The picture here is from one of our orientations. So the idea of the wall is that's a 15-foot wall. And we talk about how we have goals and none of us can accomplish those goals alone. We all have to work together. And with us all working together, we can scale walls that we may not be able to scale alone. I used to work on the wall crew, and literally, if you want to go over that wall, we will get you over that wall. And it's one of those things that's one of the most rewarding things that I did outside of my current role was seeing folks that looked at that wall just kind of with sheer terror and putting a person up and over. Usually there's lots of tears, hugs, high fives, but it means it's a very meaningful activity that really cements in what we're about at Pinnacle. We also have leaders of people and influential leader workshops tied to DE&I and emotional intelligence and other topics. It gives, in essence, the blueprint for our leaders to lead with values and engaging their team. We have associate learning events. We even have an escape room that's part of the Pinnacle bus, and literally it's a Pinnacle themed escape room that's tied to our values, so you get to have some fun and then kind of escape the bus. Our learning doesn't just stop with our associates. We also offer learning events to our clients, and that's how we spend our marketing money. We have client learning events. We frequently have guest speakers. We have book clubs for small business owners. We do financial literacy courses. We like to really engage with the field and spend our time with our clients and helping them prosper. You may notice the pic on the previous slide. That was award-winning author Howard Ross, and he came to speak to our author about the power of belonging. And some of the things in his book, just to kind of close this, that he mentioned, there were several pathways he mentioned, but there were three that tied directly to Pinnacle. He said, have a clear vision and sense of purpose. We give Pinnacle associates that clear vision on day one. Our vision is to be the best place to work and the best place to do business in the Southeast. So much so that you often will hear our CEO not talk about associates, but in some cases he'll say, he'll mention families. It's like, and that's important, as opposed to 3,500 employees, we support 3,500 families. And I think that's a huge distinction. But having that clear sense of purpose, clear sense of vision, it's really pairs with our shared narrative of having strong personal connections. Creating the container, we've cultivated a culture of care, and we are highly protective of it. We want, as we can create that container and maintain that container, we can continue to maintain that high level of engagement across the firm. The last was personal connection, vulnerability, and consciousness. And in having both the ACE vertical and grassroots efforts, we intentionally give more opportunities for associates, connections, and understandings. This is only part of what builds a great sense of belonging in our one team, one culture approach. As you guys can see, I'm a raving fan myself. I love what I do as a learning professional, and I especially love doing it at Pinnacle. So that is all I had, Rochelle.
Oh, got to get back on here. There we are. Hi. Thank you, Josh. Wow, I felt so many things during your short presentation. One, complete alignment with you on boiled Brussels sprouts. Not there for that, but I absolutely love Brussels sprouts. And just the thought of bringing so much humor and humanness, I would say, to things that are not always that fun, like compliance training. I am just probably, like most of us, not the biggest fan of compliance training, but I feel like I would jump in on yours and be pretty excited, especially just thinking about how do we take out the fluff and add the fun, right? I really, really love that approach. I saw a comment in the chat from Karen. Absolutely agree that bringing humor into training just makes it so much more engaging. And we also learn a lot better when we feel like the content and everything is just much more approachable for us. So thank you so much for that. And with that, we will shift our next to our next panelist. Lei, would you like to join us? Lei Comerford is gonna join us. Let me just get her in the spotlight here. So if you want to go ahead and share your screen and share a little bit about you and what you love about learning and development and how you drive culture with learning and development.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rochelle. And I'm sorry, I think everybody has to be in agreement. Who else wanted to go over that wall? I was so ready. I was like, Josh, we want to go play and do this. Awesome. Well, again, thanks everyone. My name is Lei Comerford, and I'm from Atlanta. Atlanta is home for me, but I've lived here in Mount Juliet for the last 4 years and have really enjoyed the community in which I'm now living. I have 2 adorable and incredibly active kitties. You see a quick picture of them here. This is Erin and Zoe, and I've had the absolute pleasure of supporting leaders in their advancement over the last 25 years. So it's been in a variety of ways, but ultimately now that I have started my own business, it is that opportunity of truly advancing leaders. So I currently serve as owner of Lei Comerford Consulting, and another joy of mine, and I've been on the board for 4 years here at ATD Nashville, and currently my role is member at large. And you can think of this as jack of all trades is probably another way to refer to that. So think about any aspect of a board position needing help. I usually jump in and offer the help where I can. I also enjoy, again, advancing leaders. So one of the things that I do on a regular basis is manage and facilitate our quarterly professional growth series. So as Josh was mentioning earlier, it's not just for learning professionals. If you want to come learn for yourself, come and join one of the professional growth series. Just as a start, I can maybe give that shameless plug, but we would love to have you at any of our events. And we have several of these that are coming up that I think Shelly's going to talk about a little bit later. So I won't give too many details about those upcoming events. All right, so I mentioned that I am owner of Lei Comerford Consulting. What I have the pleasure of doing every single day is offering services as an executive and leadership coach, master facilitator, keynote speaker, learning and development consultant, designer and creator of the advancement. And I love to share that in two different ways. One is a 6-month leadership development program, and the other is through online self-paced academy. And those are certainly some fun ways to learn for yourself. And then most recently, over the last probably 18 months, I've been diving into all things AI and ChatGPT. And now I have added to my long list of titles, AI enablement expert. Now, in all of this, I spend a lot of time with SHRM chapters and SHRM state conferences. And over the last few years, I've spoken at over 18 SHRM events, over 10 ATD events, and I actually don't count all of the ones that I do at our local ATD chapter. I kind of feel that that's crossing the line. But then also a variety of other industry events, whether it's national conferences or chapter meetings. So I love sharing with others and having that opportunity to even provide one nugget of information that's going to help someone move forward, get unstuck, and move themselves in a way that is just better for them. So I do partner directly with HR, all aspects of HR, as well as learning teams. And I do this to deliver on their objective of changing behavior or enhancing skill sets and relationships. All right, I want to share a little bit about, and I'm going to pull up my chat. I can see we've got lots of information coming in here. I want to share a little bit about alignment between HR and L&D. That was one of the many aspects that we were asked to talk about today. And there are 5 different areas that I feel are critical when we want to talk about having a successful partnership. So to start, it is that strategic alignment. How do we collaborate in goal setting to make sure that we are incorporating all aspects of HR and having shared goals? Now, as you're hearing some of these, if you're already doing this within your organization, you can be as casual as, oh yeah, put that in the chat, or yes, if you'd like to be a little more formal. Or if some of these are new insights for you, please share new insight in chat. This will just give me some insight of what's happening with each of you as we go through this presentation. The second is integrated planning. How do you begin to understand your workforce needs, identify the skill gaps, and then look at creating a clear strategy for talent overall? Now, the next is communication and collaboration. Yes, I'm going to ask you to schedule regular meetings, and I can already feel the tension coming my way. More meetings. Well, these are actually strategic meetings to ensure that there is open dialogue and you stay on top of those critical initiatives. The next is sharing platforms to increase transparency. Think about how are you communicating with each other, or maybe have your project management platforms. Are all of these aligned in all aspects of HR and learning and development? And then data-driven decisions, metrics. And sometimes we get really excited about metrics, and sometimes we're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to even capture that? Well, some things to keep in mind are, how do you begin to track the effectiveness of your programs, your training programs? How do we look at employee engagement as well as overall performance? And some of that is through surveys, like those feedback loops. And this is those surveys, performance reviews. Think about also how many of you are incorporating special interest or topic groups where you're trying to get insight from your employees, but you're bringing them into one area, one room, in order to have that conversation and learn what's happening behind the curtain, those things that don't always come out. All right, next is those customized development plans. Now, succession planning is critical for all organizations, especially when you truly have those hierarchical movement types of positions. And when they're not those types of positions, how do we incorporate leadership development programs to enhance our leaders? Now, this is where HR can partner as bringing in the names for who would be participating, and then L&D, learning and development, begins to design those targeted programs to prepare all of these leaders for the future. So not just what we need today, but truly what we're going to need tomorrow and into the future. And last, onboarding and continuous learning. So seamless onboarding. I think you're going to hear onboarding from the 3 of us today, but it is that opportunity to truly partner together, not just one team talking about onboarding, but everyone in HR, including L&D, coming together as partners to share that experience with your employees. And then a learning culture. How do we encourage our learners, our employees, to take advantage of the offerings that are available both internally as well as externally where budget is a possibility, I guess you can say. So it is encouraging throughout the organization to take advantage of those internal opportunities. All right, so I know there's challenges. I know that this happens. I've talked about a few of those ways that we can partner together, but I want to call out probably the elephant in the room as well. So the difference in priorities. There's always going to be difference in priorities unless you're coming together to have those collective and collaboration around goal setting. So schedule those regular strategic alignment meetings so that you can align those priorities. And resource constraints. I do not support one client organization today who isn't telling me that they're not short on time, resources, and budget. So how do you begin to then focus on those highest priority items? And then resistance to change. We are humans. Most of us love the status quo. So how do we begin to allow for change management strategies that have clear communication and that opportunity to involve employees from the beginning to get their buy-in and get them on board? Measuring impact, developing those clear metrics and key performance indicators, and then keeping up with trends. The trends part, I think, is probably one of the most unique right now because it is understanding what is happening not only in our industries, but what's happening with AI right now, what's happening with those future trends, because we're seeing that 75% of global knowledge workers are using AI at work today. And these numbers are only going to continue to go up. Now, this has been probably over the last 6 months that we've seen this amazing trend moving forward. So these are truly unprecedented times in the adoption of technology at work. So some things to keep in mind as you're talking about bringing everyone together. All right. Always want to share a little bit of contact information. I will put this in chat as well for anyone who'd like to connect on LinkedIn. And with that, Rochelle, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Lei. That's wonderful. We did have one question. I know we're going to be doing a panel in just a little bit, but I did have one question in the chat that came through for you. So if you have a second, we'll see if you can answer this question. So what do you do as an AI enablement specialist? Can you explain more? You talked a little bit about AI, so we love to put in teasers.
No, I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm actually leading training as well as certifications in different levels of understanding AI. So for anyone who's interested, please connect with me on LinkedIn. You will see that I'm promoting several AI Foundations at Work learning events. So this is just the start to get an understanding of what's possible for incorporating AI within your organization, for your leaders, as well as for executives. So we have 3 flagship programs that I'm actually sharing and hopefully promoting to everyone today. So the foundations trainings that I'm offering right now, they're free. Come join, come learn, and I'd love to see you there. Hopefully that helps.
Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. And if there are more questions on that, feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A. So we can learn a little bit more from Lei about those things. But thank you so much, Lei. Appreciate your time, and we'll get to talk to you in just a little bit again. And with that, I will pass it over to Shelly. Shelly, if you wanted to come and join us.
Hey, everyone.
Hello. I will spotlight you, and you can take over from here.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Rochelle. All right, there we go. So hey everyone, my name is Shelly Reed, and I am originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I moved to Middle Tennessee about 8 years ago. And sometimes I miss the snow and definitely the longer falls, but for the most part, the weather is much better here. I have 3 rescue dogs, and they are actually all Tennessee born. And one of the things that people always ask me about them are, what breeds are they? And the easiest thing to tell people is just, they're Southern Bittas. They're a little bit of this and they're a little bit of that. So they're all mutts, and they all come from rescues. They definitely keep me laughing, and they definitely keep life interesting as well. For fun, I love to read, cook, eat, and travel. A lot of those go hand in hand with one another. I definitely plan my travels around food, and I even do homework on the food scene before traveling. So far, my favorite food city to visit has been New Orleans, but Nashville is a pretty close second, honestly. We have a lot of really great restaurants in the area. And I've actually been in learning and development for 14 years, which is crazy to even say out loud. And I started as an accidental trainer. I was in customer service at a call center and was asked to train some seasonal employees and really just fell in love with training and learning and development. And I've never looked back. And I've done a little bit of everything from instructional design to curriculum development, training in person and virtually, coaching and mentoring. And I'm just really a big training nerd these days. I'm always reading articles and magazines, listening to podcasts, and reading books about training. Basically, whenever I can find good stuff about it, I am there. And so currently, I work as a systems training manager at a company called Harnham, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And I started with the company 2.5 years ago. And my main role is to train all of our employees on the internal systems and applications that we use. So I'm middle leadership on the L&D team and an independent contributor. So I don't have any direct reports, but I also have 4 colleagues on my team that train the sales and recruitment process to all of our employees. So the unique thing about my role is that unlike other trainers who do the sales training regionally by country, I train all of our offices globally. So I have many more key stakeholders to work with and definitely some challenges culturally there and everything. But I love onboarding all of our new employees in all regions. I'm also the ATD Nashville board member, the VP of conferences since January of this year. I'm responsible for planning and implementing our annual conference for talent development professionals, which is taking place this year on October 3rd. So I'll definitely talk more about that at the end of my slides, but would love to have you all join us for that incredible event. So a little bit about my company, Harnham. It is a recruitment company that's based in Wimbledon, which is right outside of London. And we were founded in 2006. And our main focus is data and AI talent solutions. We do what's called 360 recruitment. So we work to place candidates in roles, and we also work with clients to acquire roles as well. Our company is kind of known for putting out a yearly salary guide in which we benchmark salaries across the many industries that we hire for. And we use the data that we collect for that from hundreds of data professionals across all of our markets. This year, we were named in the Culture 100 Awards as one of the UK's best recruitment companies to work for. And we're really big on culture as well. And we host events throughout the year at each office to keep employees engaged. And I mentioned that we've got a global presence, so we do have offices in several places. London, of course, is our headquarters, but then we also have offices in the Netherlands, and then in the US, we've got them in New York and Phoenix and San Francisco. So by far, our UK office is the largest one. That's where a lot of our operations team are based. And our US offices are a little bit smaller in comparison, but we're rapidly growing. And the great thing about my role is because I am generally fully remote, I do get to travel to the offices occasionally, which is always fun to see everybody in person. Now, if we are looking a little bit at our organizational structure at Harnham, as you can see, we have a chief people officer, and she manages both HR and L&D under one umbrella. And so together our 2 departments make up the people team, which is really great because we do collaborate on quite a few initiatives. And on the L&D team, you can see I'm the only lone wolf systems training manager, and all of my other colleagues just train the recruitment and sales process to all of our new employees and then support the rest of the organization as well. So I'm a little bit of a unique role in that I support everyone in all the offices. And my role was created when I joined. So the nice thing about that is I've been kind of able to shape it into what I've wanted to as I've gone along. So in order to ensure strategic alignment across the business, there are different ways in which our L&D team works with our HR team. And these are just some of the key ways. First of all, to onboard new employees. I work very closely with my colleagues on the L&D team to ensure that a smooth onboarding experience happens for all of our recruitment consultants. We typically hire about once a month in a cohort, which can be anywhere from 1 to 5 people on average across all the different offices. And so the HR part of our onboarding includes things like benefits and resources internally. And then our L&D team onboarding includes all aspects of the knowledge and skills required to be successful in the role. So definitely a combination of both sales training as well as systems training. We also, as a team, support initiatives around well-being, mental health, charity, and DE&I. These are events that are typically led by our HR team, but our L&D team participates in them by promoting them, incorporating them into our sessions and the trainings that we do. For me personally, I care a lot about mental health, and I will often share resources in my training sessions as well. And then we also establish and maintain promotion criteria for the different levels of the organization. Our team works with managers and directors and other leaders to meet regularly and establish key performance indicators across all the levels, and then update those as needed. We also, of course, being that we're the training department, support any training initiatives that are related to HR and IR systems. So payroll, benefits, time off requests. Occasionally the HR team needs to demonstrate something like how someone might request time off in the system. And our team helps assist them by sharing our screens so that they can see actually what that looks like. We're also involved with the hiring process for other L&D team members, everything from the interview to the hiring, onboarding, mentoring, and coaching. We're a very close-knit team, and we support each other's development as much as possible. But we don't have involvement in the hiring of recruitment consultants. That is pretty much HR and manager-led in the individual offices. And then retention is an area that our team has some influence over because we touch pretty much every aspect of the employee's journey, from onboarding to development, promotion, and engagement. We're definitely a very big part of all of that. And as a team, we measure our return on investment as it relates to the success of our training programs. So things like how quickly can our recruitment consultants place candidates in roles, and how quickly are they able to add a new job from a client, and things like that. And of course, as a team, we strive to create a culture of learning through coaching and recognition. So we do things like creating competitions in the different offices for new starters and for those who've been there a little bit longer. We also really make an effort to recognize our internal employees and give them shout outs in our monthly sales meeting for just different aspects of learning and development, whether it's they reached out to us for coaching, or they've won a competition, or they've just been working really hard and have seen some improvement in whatever area of development that they've been working on. And so being that I'm a foodie, I like to equate the success of HR and L&D working together with a recipe for success. Training efforts with HR and also with our key stakeholders tend to be the most successful when the following ingredients can come together: frequent, regular communication and collaboration. It's really important to our team that we talk to leaders at least on a monthly basis to understand what challenges they're facing, what trends they're seeing, and overall just what they're driving in their individual offices, so that we can help support from a training perspective. And also, not every issue is solved by an L&D solution. So getting clarification around the end goal can often reveal if training is something that even needs to happen. And honesty is important, and identifying what isn't going well is as important as what is going well. And then alignment in priorities and end goal. We have to agree upon an end goal that meets the business needs and also works for our teams as well. Resolution of issues that arise. Working as a team to identify and resolve issues is key. So if, for example, I identify a problem that a recruitment consultant might be having, or maybe that's affecting multiple of them, and flag it to a manager, but there's no accountability to fix that issue, nothing is likely to change, as I can't always have eyes and ears everywhere at all times, especially supporting everyone across all of our regions. And then just setting realistic expectations, whether that's time frame or accountability. Usually I have a pretty full plate of asks from different stakeholders. And so it's important for our team to manage expectations with leaders, provide other resources as necessary, say, we can't do that right now, but maybe we can help out in a month, or just kind of really being honest about kind of what our capacity is. And then, of course, this goes hand in hand with the other points as well, just having that support from leaders. If we're training a process, for example, that is not supported or reinforced by leadership, then the likelihood of it sticking with our learners is very low. So we need to make sure we have the buy-in and support of leadership in order to see that success in our training initiatives. So with that, my final slide here is just a couple of upcoming ATD Nashville Chapter events that we have. We've got some really great ones. So the next two virtual chapter meetings we have coming up on June 20th and July 8th. Our June 20th one is on presentations for effective training. And then the 8th is our professional growth series, which is going to be focusing this time on strategic thinking. We've got a fun one in there that's going to be an in-person event we hope you'll join us for. On July 25th, we're going to go to the Nashville Sounds game. And if you use the code ATD-SHRM, all in caps, then you can receive the member rate for that. So we definitely hope to see you at that one. We've also got a Coaching for Excellence program going on that's virtual, in which we offer monthly 45-minute coaching sessions on really any development topic that you would like. And so for ATD Nashville members, the cost is $50. And for non-members, it's $125. And if you add your ATD Nashville membership to the first session, it's $135. And so this is an incredible value. As anyone who's done professional coaching knows that the sessions tend to be much more expensive than that. So definitely don't miss out on this great opportunity. We actually have 3 coaches that you can choose to work with, and Lei is actually one of them. So all the details for that are also on our events calendar and our website. And then finally, definitely want to give you guys a bit more on conference. I know I gave you a teaser at the beginning, but our annual ATD Nashville conference is going to be October 3rd, and it's at the Cracker Barrel headquarters in Lebanon, Tennessee. So we hope you'll join us for a great full day of sessions. We've just done our speaker lineup, and we're currently working on the schedule. And we've got early bird registration open right now on our website. So you'll save 15% on that, whether you're a member or a non-member. So our theme is lifelong learning in a changing world. And we're going to be we're really excited to offer some great sessions this year. And of course, who doesn't love biscuits and breakouts? And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Rochelle.
Thank you, Shelly. What I love about these conversations is there's so much talk about food, and I am a foodie too, so it's so wonderful. If Josh and Lei want to come back on, we'll have just a few moments here. If you have any questions for our speakers today, please feel free to type those into the chat. I do have one question as we talk about just our partnership with ATD and SHRM. I'd love to hear from all of you. And I actually know there's a few people on today that have both memberships or participate in events for MT SHRM and ATD. I'd love just to hear from 1 or 2 of you on what's the benefit, or, why would I attend one or both of those events, or be a member to either?
I can answer that from my perspective. Number one, for those of you that are that have a foot in HR and in learning and development, know that both of those positions are part of the BOK, or body of knowledge. And if you take the certs, a lot of those questions are the same. So that's number one from a community perspective. Number two, as we're talking about cultural transformation, having close ties to your HR or your learning and development partners is something that's critical. It's a secret sauce. We jokingly, for all of us that report into our executive, call each other our work cousins. And my HR folks, I love when my work cousins are on the call, because that's just another person that's going to help reinforce culture and build things. So attending both is going to give you a really good perspective so you can understand L&D's kind of the way L&D operates, how HR operates, and you're speaking the same language when you're going to your executives to plead your case for a people strategy.
Wonderful. Thank you. And if anyone is a member of both or attends both, feel free to share in the chat what you get out of it. I am a talent development professional, but also get a lot of value from MT Sherm, and then have also gotten in the past so much support from ATD as well. So there's just things that each offer that are so beneficial to our careers and our partnership across HR. So really love that. Any questions that we have in the chat for our speakers today? Give it just a minute. If not, I have another question. Okay, then I'm going to ask, because I'll take the spotlight here with another question. So I kind of want to throw this out there when we're thinking about the challenges that we're facing currently in HR and L&D. One of the things I think about is, attention, trying to keep people's attention. Another thing is we're constantly on meetings all day long. A lot of us are virtual. We're spending time training again. And all of that is on the computer. I feel like there's a lot of fatigue. How do we help just maybe some of those challenges or other challenges that you see currently when it comes to L&D or that partnership with HR? What are you all seeing? And how do we overcome those things as we move into the future of AI and technology and continuous? This technology piece is not going to stop. We're going to stay on computers for a long time. So what are your thoughts on that?
Shelly, I see you're excited about this one. Go ahead.
Yeah, as someone who's fully remote, this is a big challenge that I face. I really try to build into every training that I do a halfway point where I give them a break. So even if it's just 5 minutes and that's all I can really spare, get some water, have a bio break, whatever you need to do, get some coffee. So that's definitely a really big one. And then just in terms of designing training programs, whether it's a session that I'm running virtually or creating an e-learning, microlearning is such a big topic and a hot topic in the L&D world. So Josh has a great phrase, and he's going to have to help me out because I don't want to mess it up, but it's like the brain can only handle what the butt can tolerate. Is that what it is?
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, the mind can only absorb what the behind can endure.
That's right. I knew there was a rhyme in there. But yeah, keeping microlearnings short. So when you're doing videos or courses and things like that, breaking them up into sections so people can come back to them. They don't have to sit there through 30, 40 minutes of training that's self-paced. And just as designing with that in mind, that attention spans are so much shorter.
Yeah, I love that take. Lei or Josh, either of you have any other thoughts? I know, Josh, you talked about this a little earlier, making it fun, brevity, making sure that we're keeping things short. Microlearning is, I feel like it's not going to leave us because we all need those short little bits of learning. But any other thoughts on that?
Just one. For those of us that are more in consultant roles, there's one thing that I am adamant about, whether no matter who the partner is, whether it's a business leader, whether it's an HR partner, and I always say time is love. A lot of times if you don't need 30 minutes, don't schedule 30 minutes. I am the master of the 15-minute meeting, and I had a business leader once ask me, why are you scheduling in 15 minutes? And I said, time is love. If I can get done what we need to get done in 15 minutes and give you all the pre-work, and all we're doing is confirming, that's 15 minutes that you can take to call your kids, run to the restroom, get another cup of coffee. That's it. That's important because when you do need longer times, people are willing to give that to you if they know you're going to protect their time like you protect your own. So, I mean, that's kind of on the flip side, outside of training, keep it as short as possible and work smart.
I love that. And especially thinking about how do we, set up with some context, some work, some reading, or whatever that is, that pre-work that they can do on their own that doesn't need to happen in the training, and then have more engaging conversation sessions, breakouts, whatever that looks like, to really engage the participants and have them actually reinforcing and learning whatever they read or watched beforehand. So I absolutely love that approach. So Unfortunately, we are out of time. I wish we could stay here forever because this was such an incredible conversation today. Before you do leave today, friends, I would love for you to just scan, and hopefully you can see on the screen. Just go ahead and scan the QR code and take that really brief survey. Again, it'll take just a moment of your time. And just tell us how this experience was for you today. I know our ATD partners, we're all about feedback and understanding what works for you. And we would love to hear more of what you want and more of what you don't want, so we can target our programs that way. And then speaking of our programs, while you are doing that, I just want to share a little bit about our upcoming events. We do have a topic. We talked a little bit about AI, so definitely reach out to Lei for that. But also we have a fun upcoming AI event, the Wild West, around AI. So that's going to be a good one with our Gallagher friends, who are going to come in July and talk to us a little bit about AI from their perspective, experts in this space. And then we do have our state conference coming up in Memphis, and that's going to be August 25th to 28th. If you are there, please come say hi. I will be there as well. And our Top Golf event. So lots of fun things happening with ATD. So you can go the Sounds game, then you can go to Top Golf. Our Top Golf event will be happening on the 15th of August, and actually any proceeds that we get at that event, any registration fees, things like that that you pay, are actually going to be going to our professional development scholarships that are available to any of our members to apply that have been MT-SURE members for at least a year. So definitely something to look into if that is a conference you want to attend, if it's events you want to attend. Look into our scholarships that can help. If your company can't sponsor them, we want to make sure that you are still able to attend and enjoy those learning journeys with us. So thank you all so much for being here. Please feel free to reach out to myself or to our speakers if you have any other questions. And otherwise, your CE credits will be in your email in just a few days. And we look forward to seeing you at our next events. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
And Rochelle, for anyone who is still with us, I would love to just share, I'm speaking in Memphis at the state conference. So I would love to see you. I'm speaking on Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. on the topic of cognitive diversity. So come and learn. Would love to have you there.
Lei, I will be in your session there then.
Awesome.
I will see you there.
Fantastic.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.